$94,000. That's the average debt load of a Gen Z adult, more than millennials and Gen X combined at the same age, and only 3% of today's homebuyers are Gen Z. So why are they drowning before they even hit 30? It isn't because they're lazy or careless. The rules of the money game changed long before they sat down at the table. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down how a whole generation got caught in a debt tsunami, what economists call disillusionomics, and whether there's a real way out. First, let's set the stage. Gen Z, born between 1997 and 2012, are now 22 to 27 years old. Their average debt sits at $94,000, split roughly into 45% student loans, 25% credit card balances, 15% medical bills, and the remaining 15% from buy now, pay later plans and auto loans. By the end of this video, you'll see the systemic forces behind those numbers and 3 practical steps you can start using today. The debt engine kicked into high gear after the financial crisis of 2008. Banks, flush with cheap money, loosened their underwriting standards and flooded the market with low-interest loans. At the same time, tuition at public colleges surged by 150% since 2000, while federal aid stayed flat, pushing students to borrow more than ever. Then came the rise of buy now, pay later apps, exploding between 2020 and 2022. They marketed zero interest, but hidden fees and revolving balances added a new layer of debt that many didn't even recognize as credit. When the pandemic hit in 2020 and 20 pop-off, job losses spiked and credit card balances jumped, while medical bills surged for those without insurance. All these threads tangled together, creating a perfect storm that Gen Z had to navigate from day one. If any of this feels familiar, smash that like button. You're not alone in this, and I want to hear from you. What's the biggest bill you're juggling right now? Drop a comment below and I'll read a few in the next video. If this is opening your eyes, consider subscribing so we can keep digging into the data that matters to you. Now that we've mapped the macro forces, let's dive into the mindset shift that turned a generation upside down. First, the gig economy promised flexibility and independence, but the reality is a patchwork of short-term contracts, unpredictable income, and fees that eat into every paycheck. When a paycheck arrives late, or a platform changes its algorithm, many reach for the nearest credit line to keep the lights on, and the cycle spins faster. Second, the fear of missing out on experiences has become a cultural driver. From curated travel feeds to the latest tech drop, the pressure to stay current pushes many to spend before they earn. Credit cards and buy now, pay later services become invisible extensions of a lifestyle that feels essential but is financially fragile. Third, we see a phenomenon researchers label deferred adulthood. Traditional milestones, marriage, buying a home, starting a family, are being postponed, often because the financial foundation to support them is shaky. This postponement means longer exposure to revolving debt and fewer opportunities to build equity early in life. Add to that the rent or buy paradox. Sky-high rents force a larger slice of income into monthly housing costs, leaving less room to attack balances. Even when a modest down payment seems within reach, the prospect of a mortgage payment that dwarfs rent can feel insurmountable, reinforcing the belief that home ownership is out of reach. All of these psychological and structural pressures create a feedback loop where debt feels inevitable, not optional. It's not a lack of discipline, it's a system that rewards consumption while penalizing delayed gratification. So what does this look like on the ground? Young adults report higher levels of anxiety tied directly to their balance sheets, and credit scores hover around the mid-600s, limiting access to affordable loans. The dream of a starter home remains a distant silhouette for most, while wealth-building opportunities, stock market participation, retirement accounts are delayed or foregone altogether. But there are levers you can pull right now. Start by mapping every recurring expense, no matter how small, and identify one subscription or service you can pause for at least 3 months. Next, prioritize high-interest balances, usually credit cards, by allocating any extra cash toward them first. Even modest reductions compound over time. Finally, consider building a small emergency buffer, even if it's just a few $100s, to avoid turning to high-cost credit when unexpected bills appear. These steps won't erase a $94,000 debt overnight, but they create momentum and a sense of control. The bigger picture will shift as more people adopt these habits and as policymakers respond to the pressure for reform. If any of this resonates, let me know in the comments. What's the first small change you're willing to try? And if you found value in this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and share it with anyone you know who's feeling the weight of debt. Remember, the story isn't written in stone. By understanding the forces at play and taking intentional steps, you can start turning the tide for yourself and for the generation as a whole. Subscribe for more deep dives into the economics that shape our lives, and let's keep the conversation going.